Interesting. Okay. Well, I have just these what ifs are not as probably big as the ones I mentioned.
Hmm.
But just want to mention them. Brad Daugherty, I think, is another one that his
Yeah.
career is kind of short. I don't think he would have been like all time
Yeah.
great, but still his career is pretty
Hmm.
would have been probably extended a little bit further.
Hmm.
Another player I think is very interesting that got injured is Gilbert Arenas, right? So Gilbert Arenas in his prime, he was dropping like 29 points a game. He dropped 60 on Kobe, right? So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see if he wasn't injured, how his career would have looked like too. Because his prime was about as good as anybody's, right? And his prime was about 3 years, right? Just like anyone. A lot of the other players I mentioned, his prime was very short as well. So yeah, it'd be pretty interesting to see how Gilbert Arenas would have done if he had a longer career, right? Very short prime, but his prime was probably as good as anybody's. Also, Ralph Sampson would have been pretty interesting too, because he had maybe 4 good seasons before he got injured, and I think it was his back or something. But he wasn't the same again. But Ralph Sampson, I think even if he played out his career, he wouldn't, be a really top tier power forward or center. Probably he would be maybe like a bit better than Brad Daugherty, which is to mean that he'd probably be like, top 30 maybe. So just another what if I can put out there. Good player still, but not one of those huge what ifs. Like he's not Bill Walton or Sabonis or anything. Len Bias never got to play in the
Yes,
NBA.
Len Bass was a big one.
Um, it's interesting because we don't. Well, okay, he played in college, right? And we know in college he's compared to Jordan a lot.
Hmm.
I don't know if he would have been up to Jordan. Maybe he would have been David Thompson. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Like who knows what his career would have been. So that's an interesting one. Some people say him along with Roger Brown, probably the best players never to play in the NBA, and Oscar Schmidt as well.
I
So
think Len Bias is a really interesting
yep,
situation because Len Bias was also something that I feel, regardless of whether he's going to be as good as Jordan or not,
yep,
that's not even the important part.
yep.
The important part was that his physical skills, his athleticism,
Mm-hmm.
is something that the Celtics really need. It's something that the Celtics didn't have,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have been a perfect complement to what the Celtics. It's kind of like what I mentioned about the modern day Golden State Warriors
Yep.
suddenly having Wiggins,
Yep.
because they already have two all-time legendary shooters. They just aren't the most athletic. And then now you throw in a guy that's a slasher athletic guy like Wiggins with length. That's exactly what they needed. And that's something that I feel that will make Golden State interesting next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the Celtics were exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of guys, but they didn't have athleticism. They didn't have those
Yeah, so that's
slasher guy.
interesting because Celtics had an all-time great team at the time,
Exactly.
right? The '86 Celtics. So you
Yep.
add bias onto that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what they needed. That's something that they lacked.
So
Yeah, you give it 86 Celtics, Len Bias with that athleticism, and wow,
yeah, exactly. So that was the one thing about the '86 Celtics. We experienced this in 2K. Actually, they're not that athletic, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I guess we were talking about Brandon Roy, Derrick Rose. I guess for a more modern recent example. Although people say that Derrick Rose, if he played out his prime, would have been like all-time great. For me, it's like he would have been a lesser version of Russell Westbrook. I mean, let's be honest here, right? He had the same kind of play style as Russell Westbrook. I don't think he would be as good as Russell Westbrook because
They're really
Westbrook.
similar.
Yeah, Westbrook had a little bit better all-around game, but I think he would have been probably at that level. Probably wouldn't have been better though, right? Just my opinion.
Yeah.
And he played on a really good team. So the people forget that Derrick Rose, they talk about his MVP season, he won, 62 wins or something like that. But he had a really good team as well.
Yeah.
So
I think Derrick Rose
Yep.
and Russell Westbrook, they're really, really similar players, obviously. The one thing is Rose is a little bit better with his footwork once he's in the paint. So Rose would have these spin moves that I feel that Westbrook doesn't really have. Westbrook doesn't have much of a spin move. Westbrook pretty much purely uses his athleticism and his size to just face you up and just try to just run right by you. Whereas I find Rose has a bit more of a juke left and right, and also he was finished out with a spin move. But besides that, they're very similar games for sure. I think with Derrick Rose, I don't think Rose is much of a what if though. I think he's had a long enough time before the injury to show us what he's got, and he got
Yeah.
an MVP. I mean,
but some people say that wasn't really his prime because he was only like 22 or something
yeah,
like that.
but was he still really getting better? Because I didn't notice him being a better shooter by year. I mean, so pretty much you can see that if
Yeah.
if he wasn't becoming a better shooter anyways, you would just see the same trajectory was as he gets older, because
And-
his
yeah.
game is more predicated upon athleticism and
Yep.
quickness. So as he gets older, if he doesn't improve his game, then well, we know what's gonna happen. It'll be like Dwayne Wade, or somebody like that. As you get older, you won't have as much left.
Yeah. So from what I've seen, people say that if Derrick Rose had his prime, he would have beat LeBron or something like that.
Well, he
but,
wasn't able to beat LeBron
but
when he was MVP.
yeah,
So
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying. Like
yeah.
when he was MVP, he didn't beat LeBron.
Yeah.
I didn't see him getting better the next season after that.
Exactly.
I mean, his stats were good, but it's not like if MVP rose, I think that was kind of his peak.
LeBron
right?
is just on a different level from everybody
Yeah.
else. I mean,
Yeah.
LeBron is not just a superstar or a great player. LeBron is a once in a lifetime player like Jordan is.
Yep.
Right, so you can
Yep.
tell LeBron is a cut above everybody, just like how Jordan was a cut above everybody.
Yep.
It's a different plateau we're talking about here. Yeah, there is a difference, and people who know basketball and play basketball will be able to tell.
Yeah, and that's why it's laughable that if Derrick Rose was healthier, he would be able to beat that. That's
It's different.
That's BS, right?
In terms of
Yeah.
the general floor game, the basketball IQ, the multi-level skill sets that they have, is not on the same level.
Yep.
Derrick Rose is a very, very good player, but he is not. He's more one-dimensional compared to LeBron, because Rose is an average passer. He was a very good scoring type of guard, but then he doesn't have the size of a shooting guard, and he wasn't much of a shooter, but he was all about athleticism and quickness.
Yep. Basically, like you said, he was Westbrook with a few more moves under the basket.
Yeah, exactly.
That was about it.
Exactly, and then but then with LeBron,
Yep.
we're talking about once in a lifetime talents who got better every year too. With his work ethics, LeBron keeps improving. I mean, his shot got better and better. His post game got better and better, and he keeps learning from a mental standpoint. His game keeps evolving in terms of when to dominate, when to pass. LeBron's on another level because he's a big guy that can pass like a point guard but score like Jordan sometimes with the body of Karl Malone.
Yep.
And he's got the work ethics to keep adding stuff to his game, like improving his shot and his post and just his understanding of the game. He's more on those levels of what you would see that's once in a lifetime, like Jordan, Kareem, these guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.